welcome to Flamecast. I am Todd Pletz, and with me on episode 001 is someone from my past, someone who's worked on a few of the movies with us, and sometimes known as Darth Smiley.
A.K.A.
Yeah, give it up for Matt Spielman.
Hello, everyone. Both of you.
Yeah. You and you. Thank you for listening. All right. Like I said, we started out doing the films together, and kind of backing all the way up. Let's go like way back.
Oh.
And do you remember exactly when we first met?
When we first met, well, no, I'll say I remember when we first met again, because I know that we knew each other at Scouts, at Boy Scout Troop 57. Did Chris Camras bring you to the troop?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
I thought so. And I remember camping a couple times. Maybe did we shoot rifle range? I know we were out at Crystal Lake, and I remember going to Fairmont High School, coming out of St. Paul's, and wondering who is going to be in my homeroom, and I had no concept that you were there, but I saw you, and your name immediately snapped into my mind. You're like, oh, Todd.
Yeah, I remember I think it was the first time. There was the camp that right on the Iowa border there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the name of it, but my plan was to hang around with Chris basically the whole time, and I think I hung around with you the whole time. I didn't even know you. Actually, I think he got a little perturbed that I...
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think so.
That's another subtext, huh?
Well, eventually, kind of a long backstory too, but I don't know if you remember Maureen Lau.
Mm-hmm.
All through grade school, I kind of had a thing for her, and she was like on and
Now
off.
it's out in public.
Well, she knew it at that too. But yeah, she was kind of on and off with like 3-4 of us in that class. And yeah, Chris started dating her for a little while after the fact. I'm like, just thinking, was this like revenge or something? Yeah, but
So how many years were in between that? Because I'm thinking it was several years in between the time you were with Scouts. I stayed for a while longer, but I think by the time high school was there, I think I was done already.
I was only in Scouts for 2 years at the most.
Yeah.
So.
There's some time in between there.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember that first day of high school too. Todd! Matt! So it was like a pleasant surprise.
Yep.
Yeah, there are so many things that we could tell about high school. But
You know what? I feel totally unprepared now, because I know you just said we would think to talk, but how could we cover high school if we don't sing a Don Young song?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, if I would have known about that, I would have brought some of the... I still have those printouts of the songs.
I think I still have some. And I think my mom gave me some stuff, like moms do from the attic. I think neither she, and then Julie, my wife, opened it. I think neither my mom nor my wife understood why in the world I had that.
I just remember going into, it was Maynard Johnson's math class. I can't remember the math that it was.
Algebra trig, that's what he
Algebra
called.
trig, yeah, it was.
And computer science.
And I had made up the song She's Got Donuts,
Yeah.
sung to the tune of You've Got the Luck. And it just broke all of us up.
Well, that was because you brought Keels on Fridays, not Hy-Vee.
Oh, yeah.
Never Hy-Vee. Although I think Hy-Vee's gotten better. And Keels isn't an option, but no, it was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe there's the teaser. If we get enough positive feedback on episode 001, perhaps we can do a Don Young song episode.
Yeah.
It could be good or bad. I make no promises, but we'll see.
One of the other things that happened during that time, we kind of talked about this earlier in the night, which is off camera, but
I hope it's all off camera, just off mic.
Well, oh yeah, that's right. Woo! We're using the camera to record the sound, and we're going to rip the video off of it and leave just the sound. So that's the plan here. But we also had the club over on Chestnut Street and the storage shed. And
the Eagles.
And that was kind of our first little experimenting with making films, actually, if you recall.
Holy cow, no I don't.
Well, see, you had gotten the program to do, like, titles on our film and such, and we never even got that far to actually We did film some stuff, though. It was all based on SCTV.
Oh, okay.
Because also,
I'm coming back.
Also in our club was my younger brother Ryan. There was Bill and Kevin Maurice. Brian was with our club for a while.
My younger brother.
Yep. And
whose house we're at.
Yep. We also had Adam and Andy Clark, who kind of moved away before you guys got involved. But yeah, we had filmed some segments of Great White North with myself as Bob McKenzie, Bill as Doug. Gosh, we did.
You don't still have those, do you?
I do.
The secret origin of Flaming Death Productions. Oh my God!
I've got that on VHS. That's one of the things I want to take off of VHS and get on a DVD and send it out to all these people
before the tape is disintegrated.
Yeah. But
well, I always, it's funny because I totally forgot about that, but then you mentioned it. You mentioned SCTV, and it became clear. I always said the particularly Yoda's Treasure, and I know it meant a lot to you to try and get on into the fan film contest, and we all worked hard on it. But I always just thought if we were properly equipped, that's what we would have done for summer vacation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We just have more resources now.
Yeah,
but we still want pretty much the same things.
Yeah, then that kind of never came about to a conclusion. We kind of disbanded the club before we ended up finishing the film. But
definitely we're scant on resources.
We did try a little something else. Well, not really me. I was kind of like the subject of them. And you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Oh, I have no idea.
There was how many things did we make? It was the episodes of Todd Goes.
Oh, Todd Goes, yes.
I know we did Todd Goes to Dairy Queen, because I have that one on tape. And there was Todd Goes to Champion Auto, but I did not go. I stayed in the car because I was pissed off at Ryan at the time. Ryan Moss, not Ryan, my brother.
You could have been mad at him too, but that's not why you stayed.
I would have more of a reason not to go to Dairy Queen than it would have been to go to. But again, that's a long story. And there, I think
on Shopko?
On one of your tapes, we had Todd Goes to Shopko because it's not on one of mine. And I still have that on VHS too.
Oh, I want to see that. Oh,
yeah. Crap! I should have brought him with me.
I know. I do have my graduate's eye view of the graduation party.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
that's right. I was just coming back from work that day, and I was in the shower and stuff. And in the meantime, you guys had come over to get me, and we were preparing for a rummage sale. And you guys filmed inside the rummage sale.
Oh yeah, we're crazy. You must be crazy to sell this.
Insane. These low prices.
I know I have that. Yeah, so there you go. Budding filmmakers from a young age.
Yeah. And I did take some photography classes, maybe. I can't remember if there was one or two. But that was through our homeroom teacher, Mr. Queasley.
I don't know if they were they doing video at the time? I know Brian did video.
They weren't doing video, but he did require that a slideshow be done. So that was my very first slideshow, which I went and took my camera through all of the science department, snapped every picture of every, like the periodic tables, stuff sitting on their shelves, all the stuff, and then put it to the tune of...
must be weird science.
No? Actually, no, the Thomas Dolby song. Blinded me with science, yeah. And, yeah, Queasley actually liked that a lot. He's like, oh, you got to show this to the science teachers. And I never did. And it turned out, I probably still have the slides sitting around somewhere, but... Yeah.
I know you were also fond of videotaping your Zelda session, actually any Nintendo session, but particularly Zelda and Punch-Out. When they would frustrate you, you'd study the tape. Do you have any of those
I don't
left?
remember doing that.
Oh, you did that for hours. You did that. I remember you were trying to get Mike Tyson. I think Zelda, I think you were sick or something, so you were like marathoning Zelda. But you'd get so high and you'd get stuck. And I know it was with Mike Tyson in particular for Punch-Out. And you had your VCR hooked in between your Nintendo and the TV. And you taped yourself.
I vaguely remember that now.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was pretty obsessive. I'm a gamer, but
I actually did take down Mike Tyson at one point.
Just to be clear, it worked.
Yeah,
it's necessary preparation. I'll ask any coach.
Yeah. And I do have a witness, too, if she remembers. Maureen Lau was over at my house that time.
To watch Mike Tyson,
Well, she happened to come over, and I was in the middle of playing. It's like, I gotta continue!
She's a good enough friend, she wasn't offended.
Yeah. So then, we kind of went our separate ways for college, and...
You could come out to Michigan, your brother is out there.
Well, he is now, but... He took the long way to get out there. He went to D.C., then he went down to Florida.
Yeah, this is a long
he
way.
went to Iowa. Well, let's see. Did he go to Iowa after? I can't remember the order. Eventually ended up in Michigan. And I did a little bit of just photography there. A few photography classes, enough to start off a major in that area, and worked for the school paper for 1 year and took all the fun out of it, so I gave that up.
That's what college is for. Figure out what's good and what's not.
Yeah. And I also figured this isn't going to make me enough money to live off of, so... Because another one of my friends who actually was the main photographer for the school paper, and she was struggling all the time, and she actually continued to do photography for... I'm pretty sure she worked for possibly the Rochester paper, maybe the Winona paper, and she also had a second job lined up all the time, so it wasn't making too much money. So I kind of gave that up and didn't really go back to it until, we all got together for Star Wars Celebration 2, jump ahead a few years, a number of years. When was that, 2002?
Well, we stayed together. I mean, we had contact in intervening years. So I come back for the first Christmas we came back, and I had the Pontiac Transport, which looked so mysteriously like a Star Trek shuttle that we painted. USS Canada. We wrote into the salt on the side as we drove back. That got a lot of admiring looks from the fellow travelers.
Yeah, ever since then, I've been telling Rachel, I want to get not a regular car for myself. I want to get a minivan that looks just like a shuttlecraft, and I'm going to paint it up to look like one. She's like, well, you're parking in a different garage.
Only if you stay a block away at least.
Yeah. But that would have been neat to go to a convention in that thing.
So we had Christmases, and I think we actually used to write each other a lot, because email was still nascent. Although that was one benefit for me being at the University of Michigan, is they were part of the Merit Network, which is one of the internet backbone sites. So we had plenty of internet, but email was still unusual. So we had a lot of paper letters and tapes to start with. Yep.
And I recall you're the one who actually got me into email. It was like, check this out at your college. And I know they had it, and I wasn't really using it. And
okay.
Got me using it, and
using
what was vaguely there as the internet. Everything text-based.
Yep. Oh yeah, pictures were a big jump. Back in our day,
yeah.
you read your internet. You didn't look at it. I can remember, I don't think I ever did anything to you. But I can remember plenty of things like trying to sign up. I remember signing Ryan up for bedwetting help. And I remember everyone kept sending, somehow Kevin went from being red to orange. And then we started sending him like packets of orange Kool-Aid and just whatever orange we could find.
Yeah, I remember Ryan had sent a package of orange Kool-Aid saying the cremated remains of your grandfather.
And then what was the one? What was that legal letter that you got really pissed about for a while?
Gee, okay, yeah, I'd gotten rear-ended like 2 years prior in my car, and yeah, not bodily rear-ended.
Nobody's thinking that, but they are now. Okay.
Yeah, the girlfriend of the guy that was driving the other car, who we knew from Scouts, she ended up suing everyone. And this is right at about that time that Kevin went and sent me that letter, and it looked totally legit.
Didn't your dad even ask his lawyer about it?
Yeah, we brought it to the lawyer, and he looked at it. He's like, this is some kind of joke.
And then,
then Kevin confessed eventually.
Well, and at the bottom, I remember, because in the old typing style, because you all took typing class, you always have the typist initials in small letters, and then their boss, and it was KS:HA. Ha!
Yeah, and that didn't even register. But,
yeah, so yeah, there was a lot of pranks to be had. That's how close the friendship was during college.
Yep. So, but yeah, jumping, if we're looking at film work and stuff, jumping ahead to Celebration 2. So I think we had gone to one of the fan film panels that day, and then we went to lunch. And it was talked about that, hey, we should do something like that as well.
And that was big.
And I was like half listening at the time, kind of. It's like, yeah, that'd be a good idea, eating. All of a sudden I hear, Todd, you write the script. Like, what the hell? So I'm like, okay, I will.
Okay, yeah. Well, this was the time when Troops was first out. In fact, I think Troops was screened. Was Jedi Hunter screened? It was sometime or other. So fan films were hitting big.
Oh, yeah.
The apex of fan films.
Yeah. So, yeah, going way back to beginning of some real classics there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we kind of left there, and, well, we also had Jedi costumes that we had created for the event. At least I did. You had some as well.
Yep.
Weren't totally finished, but you had the robes anyways, I remember. And eventually we ended up using all of these costumes on the first film we did, which was Yoda's Treasure. Which, I don't know if you remember, we had a planning meeting. It was actually during one of my sci-fi parties. And maybe you had to get cut out early because of the crappy internet connection I had at the time. I think things on your end sounded like helicopter effect.
Yeah.
So I think we ended up ending the conversation, but we continued on my side. So we talked about...
So I was remote, so if anyone didn't pick up on that.
Yep. Yeah. Matt still in Michigan, the rest of us at my place in Minnesota.
Far before Skype.
Yeah.
Did we just use net meeting? What did we
use? It was net meeting.
All right, classic at net meeting.
So we talked about some of the elements that we wanted. We wanted some kind of a villain character, and I can't remember exactly who brought it up, but they're like, yeah, we should have someone kind of like Darth Maul,
painted
up and everything, but more clown-like, and so we kind of thought Joker-like and stuff like that, and
our thoughts naturally went to the Joker because that was, I don't know, it was one of my favorite T-shirts in high school. I think people knew me by it, but I had a silkscreen shirt of the Joker from The Killing Joke, just laughing.
Yeah, with all the ha 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 ha's in the background.
So the thoughts went naturally to that.
Going back to that shirt, though, the one memorable moment about that shirt that I'll always remember. You're probably thinking about it, too.
In the livestock barn?
No, actually, no.
Okay. I know I had a huge laughing fit at the last day of Martin County Fair, our senior year, in that shirt in the livestock barn.
But it was during that same summer, and one of our friends, her father had passed away, and Tammy Hilgendorf at that time, Tammy Flanagan, she called up your place and asked what you were going to wear to this funeral, because she had never been to a funeral, she didn't know what to wear. And you're like, oh, I think I'll just wear my Joker shirt. And she's like, Matt, this is no laughing matter. And I look at you in your shirt, and I'm like, oh my God. It was just like a perfect moment. But anyways, so yeah, we had also...
the Joker and me were close.
Yep, and we were also kind of inspired. Actually, we used some of this, some of the dialogue from this, but you had mentioned, was it just a sound file or maybe a movie file?
Oh.
But they spliced together pieces.
No, I did that.
Oh, you did it.
I did that. I don't know if I did the ones that exist now, because I've seen it around on the internet before, but back at the University of Michigan, when not a lot of people had internet, I put those two together, and they sounded crappy. But
I put one together too, and I think it's on my crashed hard drive, which I still have for hopes of working again someday. But otherwise, I don't have it anywhere. But yeah, we combined pieces of the battle between Luke and Vader and Empire Strikes Back, and
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, Luke and Vader and Return of the Jedi. So instead of "No, I am your father," it's like "I am your sister." So we wanted to use some of that dialogue in the film, which we ended up doing.
That definitely cracked people up whenever you heard it, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's still around.
Yep. And that was some good stuff there. So we got things into gear with that meeting. I ended up writing out the script from there. We were going to have more of a Monty Python type beginning to it, which
nobody sees that in the movie today.
Yeah, we just I don't know if I just kind of forgot about doing that, or I mean that's like 10 years ago now, but
Oops.
But so we had a pretty basic beginning to it, but yeah, we were going to have Star Destroyer kind of acting like a shark and kind of attacking the camera and such. You might vaguely remember that, but maybe I think that was an idea that you had.
Okay.
So, but we also
we were going to have it like so it would surface and you just see the con tower, and then it would go back down. Yeah.
Yep. And where was I going with this now?
Well, so we had written the script and we're just thinking of starting the movie.
Okay, and I also had 'cause at the time I'd just kind of gotten into the Kevin Smith films, so big influence on stuff I was doing at the time as well. And I had written part of the script to have like a Silent Bob lookalike in there, which I was counting on Corey to do it because he was the more heavyset guy. But he refused to be on camera, so I kind of wrote it out of the script and kind of gave all those parts to Travis's character, which is just the Dark Jedi, Darth Maul type guy. But eventually we got to the part where we had to shoot your Darth Smiley scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that in Winona on 90-plus degree day at
It
the top
was
of
sweaty.
the bluffs.
Yep. And I was
Humid.
not in shape, man.
It was very humid that day
The
too.
climb was tough.
Yeah,
And then
I think we took probably the wrong way to get up there.
well, if there was a road, that would have been good, but that's okay. Well,
Well,
I remember once we got up there. I don't know if that shoots it too far ahead. We're ready, and the sun's kind of down. You started getting worried about we had to get makeup on because Smiley needed a face. And then we saw there was a couple proposing where we were
Yeah.
going to shoot.
Well, yeah, we get all the way up there, and I think I tried getting some makeup on you, and yeah, you were just too sweaty at the time. It's like, okay, we'll just sit here, calm down for a while.
Well, that's right.
And we can't do it yet anyways because there's 2 people down there. I don't know what they're doing, but it's like, hopefully they don't just...
They just
you know,
popped open the champagne.
don't start, disrobing and everything else down there. It's like, hey, this has turned into a porno. Hey, we'll pay us and we'll give the tape.
I think
some money on the side.
But I think not seriously, but I think we actually talked about maybe they would pay us to film the proposal. You know.
And I think we thought about that after the fact, after they had already left. It's like, hey, we lost an opportunity there.
We were looking for money.
Yeah, eventually the one guy got down on his knee and proposed. And I assume she said yes. The guy didn't throw himself off the cliffs.
Well, that's the handy thing about proposing on a cliff. You can handle either
Yeah.
thing, good or bad.
It's like, what? You said no? Raw!
True.
Throw you off.
3 possible endings.
Yeah. Any one of them could have been on camera.
And garnered
like,
money.
Notify the authorities and sell it to the news media.
But you had obviously already filmed the Hoth scene before then, right?
Yeah, the first thing we had filmed was the Hoth scene. And yeah, if anyone is questioning, is that, real snow? Did you... Yeah, all that was frickin' snow and...
It's just Minnesota. A.K.A. Hoth.
It wasn't too bad. I mean, it was... Last I had checked before we got out of the van, it was 16 degrees, so... People saying it was, like, below 0, whatever, I don't believe those people.
No records were set.
Nah, so... But, I think filming out in the snow was... might have been a first for a fan film at that point.
Oh.
But I think everything else I'd seen was, either digitally done or out in a forest somewhere. I mean, the forests are easiest scenes to shoot because everyone's got trees around them. So, so yeah, we had somehow gotten through that. And bad thing about the Hoth shoot was. Footage was great, but the sound was, we had to go back and redo all the dialogue, dub it over, because in order to keep the batteries going, we needed to have them plugged in, and I had the band running the whole time. Well, it left a distortion through the whole audio track, so. But actually, the dubbing really turned out well, I think. So, yeah, we got some good outtakes from that particular scene as well. So.
Certain lines that were stumbled over. Now,
Yeah.
didn't we also, even thinking of pre-production, because when you mentioned the Star Destroyer, that piqued my memory. But I know we had the shuttle scene pretty much in mind as well, and that was one of the first things we wanted to prove out. Some of the special effects. Did we do any lightsaber rotoscoping beforehand? I know we were playing. We played a little bit.
That's right. Okay.
Cause
that was prior to the pre-production meeting, actually.
Yeah, because I remember someone had said. I remember someone saying, "Well, it's great that we can shoot all these scenes. How are we going to do spaceships?" And you went, "Aha!" and showed some footage of the shuttle, just to prove that we could do that too.
Yeah. But I think we didn't do any live-action rendering of lightsabers, but we did do some stills. And I remember there's still a couple of shots that I have either on the website or on my computer yet. But
Oh,
they might be hidden on the website. They're like older pictures, but
I think I've still actually got the scene we filmed in Pine Island. We just bought a couple toy lightsabers and we're just like smacking back and forth.
Yep, that was
that.
it. Yeah, and because I remember showing those at the pre-production meeting, and I had used. I didn't have Photoshop at the time, but there was some other photo program where I fixed the bald spot in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And they're like, I thought something was wrong, but now that you mention it. So, yeah, and then from there we had some more Darth Smiley scenes that we had to do that we had planned to do green screen, but actually we did blue screen.
Well, we did. We started with green, but when I took the hood off, I had to do blue. Because in some of the hood scenes that we did, I didn't actually have the wig on.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the wig when we were in the Bluff, but when you came out to Kokomo
Yep.
to shoot the final scenes, then we had the wig and we did everything, and we went, uh-oh.
Yeah. Otherwise you would have had transparent hair and that wouldn't have worked, but...
So we used an old U-Haul blanket.
Yes. And if people look closely, I think you can see the imprints that were on the blanket, actually.
Yeah, I think Julie clearly, although she has an affinity for Paris, I think she clearly thinks she sees the Eiffel Tower at various destinations.
Yeah, or the Statue of Liberty on
Statue
there.
of Liberty, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you improvise, but it worked.
Yeah, it did.
Now, we did Yoda, well, Elmo.
Yeah, I was trying to place exactly
when we did the Bluffs. I think, or did I come out again for that? Because we did it in your basement.
Yep.
No, because there was snow. It couldn't have been.
There was snow on the ground.
Okay,
so that must have been shortly before or after the. It must have been after we shot the house scenes.
I think it was after. Because it wasn't a lot of snow. There was just some snow. And we were like in your window well or something to get the snow for the background for him to appear on.
Yeah, it was actually snow right off of the side of my driveway.
Okay.
For that, yeah.
I know we had to kind of search for it for the right snow.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy.
That was another crappy winter. But when it snowed on the day of the shoot, it was like God must have been listening. It was like, bring them snow.
Perfect schedule.
And speaking of the house shoot, we had two cameras going at the time. There was your camera and there was Wade's camera.
Mm-hmm.
Wade Wolkenhauer, brother-in-law. And
but I wasn't there. I'd shipped it.
Right.
Did I ship it or drop it off? I think I shipped it.
I think you'd shipped it as well. But one of the cameras was really detailed with the background. I want to say it was yours.
I think so.
Because with that one, we were filming on Lake Billsby in Cannon Falls. And we had tried to film the footage in a spot where it was going to be total ice and snow in the background. And...
Because Hoff doesn't have trees.
No. But with yours, the angle that the camera was, we still ended up getting trees way, way in the background. But with Wade's camera, it like blurred out everything. Everything was totally white in the background. So that's the one I ended up using for a lot of those shots. But good to have two cameras that way then. And if people saw the outtakes, there was our lighting person, Sheldon, who was holding up a piece of insulation that had like foil on one side. So we were trying to direct. Actually, there was no sun that day. But, I mean, it was snowing. So he was directing diffused light, really, and probably didn't have any effect on the people whatsoever. But
he was practicing for the other scenes.
Yeah. So that's kind of in the outtakes, a shot of him shining no light whatsoever on us. Anyways, but rolling ahead over to after the shoots. Well, we got everything in, but yeah, we had the Yoda stuff, which we also did on that one. We did on green screen, and I remember laying on the floor with my hand and arm in this awkward position to.
Because you were in a box or something. Was that to make sure it was lit right? No, you was through the green cloth.
Yeah, through the green cloth, I had a slit in there.
Yeah.
But just to get him so he looked like he was standing there correctly, I think my arm hurt for like a month after that.
You have to suffer for your art.
Yeah.
But it worked because that was the first time. I don't remember if we had a trial copy of Premiere yet, or if I had the copies, the real copy. But we were actually doing that live. We could see the green screen effect live at the time. We're kind of doing a mix of shots and post production.
Yeah.
Like we did the fade out and the blue glow effect and all that. We worked that out the same weekend.
Yeah.
While we were listening to Chappelle's show.
Yeah.
Sean's not here, is he? I want to turn Chappelle's show on.
Yeah, I don't know if he's seen that stuff. I've got the DVD for season 2, and he should. Although he wouldn't get a lot of the references to music back then.
Yep.
Digress here. So yeah, after we did your shots in Indiana, we went straight to doing the lightsaber effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you had brought your PC, so we were a production house.
Yeah.
You set up. We had a bedroom set up as a computer room, so we had our main PC and your PC going at the same time.
Right. And when we weren't doing that, we were playing Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah. Well, you gotta take a break once in a while. But just to be clear, that was after the end of all the other production too, because you had the wood scenes and everything else too. That was the end, because we were even when you left. I think it was the morning you were leaving, and I was working on the titling.
Yeah. You were doing working on DVD production stuff already.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got the DVD out. I sent in the film to theforce.net. Tried to get them to answer back multiple times and met with total silence. I'm like, assholes. So I'm like, well, screw you guys. I'm going home. No. But that's how I ended up creating the website for Flaming Death Productions, a spot to host our own stuff. I remember at the time, I was like, the website didn't have a lot of space to host a file of that size. And I want to say it was somewhere around 25 meg or something like that. And I think we could just barely get it on my web space. But
didn't Julie offer to link it for a while?
Yeah. And is that FTP Space still out there? Because I think I still have the link going out there.
Probably. It was a space that they use. They host a Neverwinter Night server, and I know that is still active. So
yeah, it could still be out there actually. I was going to try to host it on YouTube as well, but at the time they had I think it was a 10-minute limit. And I think they've since allowed stuff to go over that.
Oh, yeah. I've seen stuff for an hour at least.
So at some point, maybe when I get ambitious, I'll transfer it over to YouTube. But the trailer's always been out on YouTube. You can get that out there. So, yep, we did the DVDs and actually sold a few. Not like a lot or anything, but there was some that I used as just as trade items to, other people on the Force.net. They had created fan films. It's like, okay, give me one of yours. You can have one of mine. And so I got a couple of them that way. from other people. But and if you want, you can still buy them on the website. So go to the website, flamingdeath.net. Look for the Flaming Production store.
Well, but won't they know the location of the website if they're listening to this?
Well, yeah, I guess they should.
Don't blindly follow links.
Just in case. Well, I mean, if you post the link directly from like Facebook or something like that, but they might totally miss out on that stuff. We did have some other ideas for films that we ended up not using, but one of them was really close to being used, and that was the Jedi Masters golf tournament.
Oh yeah! Oh, there are so many great gags for that.
I
think I even bought wobbly golf balls.
Yes. Yeah, it was
exploding ones.
We were like a week away from filming, and people just couldn't get together to get the filming done, and we needed, your crowd that's witnessing the event and stuff, walking along with the golf players, and I just could not get enough people. And
you do know, Todd, there is going to be an episode 7. There could be a new resurgence. I think Jedi Masters golf tournament would deserve, if anything was going to be a big production again, I think that could do it.
Yeah.
Besides, we're all older. We're probably more interested in golf now.
Well, some of us.
Well, on a whole.
Yeah, my father-in-law, he's a big golfer, and once a year maybe I'll go out with him, but otherwise it's like, Sean's more into golf than I am. So, Sean being my son, in case you don't know.
We could get Brian. Brian could bring out a few foursomes, I'm sure. I don't know if they'll dress up in robes, but maybe we can handle that in post-production.
Actually, Wade was supposed to be one of the main Jedi that was golfing in that tournament too, but which would have been about right because he's a halfway decent golfer. So, actually, the Jedi Masters golf tournament came out of another idea which you'd had, the Jedi Olympics, because I think the one thing that at least I remember, was the AT-AT race. Trying to go around a track, and they would all get down the main stretch, or the first stretch, and they'd all have to make the corner, and they couldn't make the corners, because AT-AT's only going straight. So. Yeah. But as far as, ease of shooting stuff, I think the golf tournament thing would have been good. Which we had some good stuff for that. I've got the whole script written up, and it's sitting in a file folder back at my place under lock and key.
Under lock.
In
Copyright
you're,
Flamecast Productions.
Yeah, thinking of
stuff. There was there's so much to do. There's the one was one of them was going to get mad and use a lightsaber to swing, and that's why we're going to have the exploding golf ball, because he blows the golf ball up when you hit it with a lightsaber. And then, of course, using force push to move the perfect putt out of the way.
Yeah.
Because we'd even talked about if we could just use an electromagnet, instead of just making it wobble, actually repulsing it, like maybe even out of the cup.
Oh, yeah.
Like sticking an electromagnet into the cup.
Actually, you wouldn't even have to do that. You could just do the film in reverse. Have it go in and have it come back out.
Well, I'd like a big...
That'd be a lot easier. But
yeah.
But one of the things I was really looking forward to was having the sand traps as Sarlacc pits.
Oh.
And, tentacles grabbing people standing along the edge. I don't think we had sand people involved, but that might have been another idea. Yeah.
Chock full of ideas.
Yeah.
Next time you golf, you just try and think and not think of all the Star Wars ideas.
And then years later, I think you had told me about it. There was an ESPN commercial where they had Darth Vader out on a golf course doing some of the same crap that we had them doing in my script. It's like, crap. The script must have leaked.
Yeah. And I knew we should have done numbered copies on black paper.
We had some other ideas, such as, I think I'd run them by you. Not that you had too much involvement in, but there was, someone had done Jedi Clerks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'd done something or created the script at about the same time that they must have been working on theirs, because then all of a sudden theirs come out. It's like, crap. But mine would have followed Clerks as well, but it would be two Jedi working in a store somewhere.
Why not?
Yeah. We're going to use just a regular convenience store for it and such, but I had...
Did you even have a location picked out? A store?
Yeah, the one of the guys that worked with us on Yoda's Treasure, Mark Anderson, previously he worked at, I think it was a Super America.
Okay.
And he still had connections there. So it's like, hey, Mark, do you think we could film if it was, you talked to so-and-so? And
right.
So he was thinking that was a possibility, but... yeah, that one kind of ran into the same problem that we ran into for the next film that we actually did, which was Luke and Leia. Because I was going to get Chris Marler, who played Anwin March. in I don't remember all these names I created. Well, I didn't create all of them, but we were trying to get him back, and then Travis Buckmeyer, who was... Well, oh God, I'm drawing a blank on his Jedi name now, but it'll come back to me tomorrow morning.
Edited in.
Yeah, but just trying to get Travis back, because after Yoda's Treasure, then he moved out of state, and trying to get him back was like pulling teeth. Yeah.
Well, wasn't he traveling a lot at the time too?
Yeah. He had a job out in Vegas.
Life stuff.
And yeah, just hard to get him back for that, so we kind of bypassed that one. Then I came up with the script for Luke and Leia, which I wanted to get away from having, actual Star Wars characters or Jedi in there or something. So that's how that one came about. So it's more two guys talking, like in I basically took the idea from Kevin Smith's short film The Flying Car, and which he had kind of done in a portion of Clerks as well. They're both sitting in the car having a conversation, and one of my ideas was still having it in a car even, but trying to deal with glare off the windshields and stuff like that. I'm like, and trying to get it a little bit different. I'm like, maybe we should have some other setting. And I thought, okay, a booth at a restaurant, yeah, that might be good. And we ended up using our connections that Chris Marler had and shooting at the Chula Vista restaurant in South St. Paul. Is it South St. Paul or West St. Paul? I can't remember now. It's on Robert Street, south of St. Paul. Actually, I think that restaurant's closed now. Last time Rachel and I drove by it, it was like a Saturday night, and the whole thing was dark. And it was, prime time for eating. I'm like, what the heck? The place closed up?
Unidentifiable now.
It didn't have any signs saying, remodeling or anything like that, so who knows. But anyways, that's where we ended up shooting the next film. And I tried to get Travis back there for that one. It just wasn't going to happen, and I had waited so long. I'm like, I want to do this before I retire.
Because you were close to retirement way back then.
Oh, yeah. So I ended up looking at other possibilities, and I was even thinking, maybe I should check out like the local college and see if any theater people want to do this or whatever.
Serious actors.
Yeah, and maybe that's what I should have done according to some people, but we ended up using my nephew, be my sister's one of her twin boys. Actually, it was supposed to be one, Mitchell Fratsky, and he ended up having his wisdom teeth pulled out like the day before, so all of a sudden we had to change.
Good thing they were two.
I can't do it. My cheeks are all puffed up, and yeah, fortunately he's got a twin brother, so he said he'd do it. And so we ended up using him, and then another friend of mine from back in college, Alan Carlson, his son was about the same age, and he ended up playing the Dante type character. So he's the emo guy in Luke and Leia. But I did have I did audition him just to see how he would react with the dialogue and such. And I actually thought he did a pretty decent job.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone was kind of wooden, as I've been hearing, it would be my nephew. But for a first time, I thought he did decent enough. So maybe I could have got. I also thought at some point, I could do a special edition with Chris and Travis, and then compare the two. But I don't want to do that. It would take away from the original. So. Yeah, special edition re-release. But, so we ended up shooting that. I was actually directing and running the camera, which I don't know why the hell I did. I really should have had someone else running the camera. And in the meantime, you were doing still photography.
I actually had a video camera, but I don't think you used much of it. I was trying to get some behind-the-scenes stuff.
That's right. Because we were going to do kind of a behind-the-scenes type film, and it's probably still sitting in my thing of all the tapes that we used.
Well, I know you had looked at it, and I remember one of the things I remember clearly trying to capture was Sean was like slowly melting in his chair over the time that he was there. He was relatively patient. He was a little antsy, but he was kind of slouching more and more and more. I thought that'd make a good time lapse. But I know there's one blown line, and because I was kind of focusing on that, I missed really capturing the one blown line over and over again, and I forget which that was.
And I want to say that was one of Marshall's lines. Well, he had the most dialogue.
Yeah.
He had to go off on that rant at the end, and I don't know how many times we started filming that. Eventually, we had to make cue cards for him.
Right, in the menu, right?
Yeah.
Good thing they had menus.
Well, Chris had made up cue cards holding behind Matthew as he was talking, so we ended up getting through the scene that way, But yeah, a lot of dialogue-driven film, and some of the stuff I actually like the beginning of that. If you're looking at the longer version of the film, because I did cut it down to only the restaurant scene, but leading up to that, we had Marshall laying in bed watching, supposedly Empire Strikes Back or something like that, and turning off his TV, grabbing his car keys, jumping in his car, and then filming him driving his car. And that was quite an adventure, because we were hoping no cops would show up. It's like, what the heck are you doing? Because I was sitting in the back of my van, like in the tailgate section, with the tailgate raised, and I think I actually did throw a seatbelt like around my body, because I'm like, if he's got to like all of a sudden hit the accelerator or the brakes, where am I going to end up? I don't want to get run over by my other actor over here. But I thought that turned out really nice, and then we have him pulling into the parking lot of the restaurant. But one of the first reviews I got of the thing, they're like, The beginning was really great, but it made it seem like I was going to be seeing like a whole hour-long movie. And it's like, well, yeah, I can see that. All this build-up, and then there's like 5 minutes of dialogue, and boom, you're done.
Well, there you go. You shocked them. That's what art is supposed to do. It's not supposed to follow what you expect.
So, but we did use some of your still photography stuff for actually the website. I think everything on there was from that. After the fact, I tried to reshoot a small portion. That's where you see Abby, who plays the waitress. She's supposed to look disgusted at the conversation, and then you cut back to the two guys in the booth, but at that time, I think when we cut to her, she's actually standing in front of the booth. She gives her a disgusted look, and you go back to the booth, and all of a sudden she's disappeared. So it's like, we gotta have something like, okay, her moving off screen or something like that. And I ended up throwing actually it was a still of Chris Marler and Sean sitting there at a table, and which I'm like, I would rather not do it like this. I'd rather reshoot, and I tried to do it in front of a green screen, and I kept getting shadow behind her that would mess with the green screen, so I ended up just throwing that out. It was like one whole evening of my time wasted driving up to my sister's and getting the shots and everything and driving back. But overall, I think the film worked pretty well.
Even George couldn't make him perfect.
Yeah. So then, going from there, I mean, I've had some other ideas. I've talked about possibly going back and doing like a Yoda's Treasure 2, and I actually have stuff written up for that. Actually, stuff that I wrote up a couple of years ago that I had totally forgotten about. I remember the main thing I had written up, like the first thing that popped into my head, I remember that vividly, but the other scene, it was like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember writing this now. But again, we had run into the same problem of, you got to get all these people back together again, and
never know. Now you could do speculative fan films. What would episode 7 be? See, don't do Yoda's Treasure 2. Do Yoda's Treasure 7.
Oh, God.
You have to go in the future after Yoda's Treasure. What would happen?
That was another thing with Yoda's Treasure, the makeup. I don't know if we talked about this on our commentary reel, but I had gone to... There was a person in Pine Island that did costumes and makeup, sold stuff, and I had gone to her place I was going to get some... the makeup for the summer Darth Smiley scene. So I stopped at her place. I was at the front door, and I was going to knock, and it was a warm day again, so they had their main door open and just the screen door there. And it was just about to knock, and their phone's ringing. I'm like, well, I know they're not going to answer if I'm knocking and the phone's ringing, so I'll just wait to knock. In the meantime, in the background, like one room over, I see this lady come over and scream and run back. Here she was. I didn't see anything, but she was totally nude. I guess just got out of the shower, and she's yelling at her kids, "Why didn't you answer the phone?" And I think I swear they're like, "Oh, no. Yeah, I didn't see a thing. No. But one of the memorable things about getting makeup that day.
You'll need to insert that in the contextually proper place. Otherwise it just seems strange. But I do remember you talking about that. And not to mention, why does Pine Island have a makeup and costume person?
Yeah, I don't think she's in business anymore. I think she still lives there, but she doesn't do the stuff anymore. Which is really a shame, because, I mean, she would give us stuff for free. It's like, yeah, we'll stick, credits for your stuff in the movie if you want. In order to get free makeup. Well, I didn't really say that, but that's kind of the way she took it anyways.
Uh-huh.
She's like, oh, here, I have this. Like, all right. Yeah, other than that, I haven't really planned too much else. Other than maybe updating the website at some point to have a different type of format, but then also now adding Flamecast. So,
well, you
hopefully
never know. There's another trilogy on its way, and who knows what else Disney might do. So once you get all those kids out of the house, you'll have time again.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to do though is, do something totally original, but not a parody of anything. Just going straight off on something, and I'm thinking, what the heck do I write about? What do we even film about? So
hey, Seinfeld can write about nothing, so he could be anything. Would you do sci-fi or just the world, or?
I was kind of thinking non-science fiction. Of course, it'd be less special effects that way. It'd make it easier that way.
Probably. I mean, it could be an action movie. You still need special effects then.
Yeah, that's true. We do have connections through actually one of our camera persons, Chad Richter. He still has connections for paintball stuff. So a whole paintball field out in the middle of nowhere, and so we could always do some type of Medal of Honor type thing or something like that.
I've got to use my new helicopter cam somehow.
Yeah. We had just talked about that about a week or two ago. Hooking up a camera to Matt's new helicopter.
Well,
not a full-size helicopter, of course.
No, it comes with one. It has one on it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a screen, though, so I was looking into that. But it's a couple $100 to get one with a screen, so you can see live what you're doing. Who knows?
Yep, so, the future's kind of wide open. Don't know what we'll do, but...
Oh, will you take requests?
Possibly.
Possibly. Not signing up to anything, but who knows?
Yeah, well...
Experienced filmmaker for hire.
I'd like to have it kind of open up to other people that we've worked with as well. I know Chad has come up with some ideas, and I'm like, well, okay, yeah, that sounds interesting. How about write up an outline, to kind of get things going, and then it would kind of die on their end.
So many ideas in treatment, just like Hollywood.
I did have one prospect. There's this guy I worked with at IBM like years ago, and he started a website of his own, and he is this Asian guy, and I think there's another guy out there with this name, but he called himself the Angry Asian.
Okay.
And he would hum different songs, like going, whatever, and people would have to guess what the song was.
Okay.
And he's like, do you want to maybe make an Angry Asian film? And I'm like, hey, that sounds really interesting. And he ended up kind of dropping out of that before we got started, but that would have been interesting, I think. Or maybe even combining that with like a Star Wars type episode.
The way you made it, it sounded like he could be our Wookiee.
Well, that was another idea I had too. Was FAO Schwartz, their website, they've got a create a Muppet thing where you can create your own Muppet and purchase it, and it's like $100, something like that. Well, at least it was the last time I looked, which is probably about a year ago. But yeah, I think one of them actually had one of the outfits you can get for your Muppet was like a karate outfit. I'm like, hey, Jedi robe, you know. So like, we can do something with utilizing Muppets, but the funding's not really there for that. Unless people want to donate, But although I've since found out my brother Ryan has actually bought a few Muppets. There's a guy that he's been buying from that creates his own Muppets. They're all the Fraggle Rock Muppets. And he's gotten a few of those. And I'm like, maybe we can do something with that. So, but yeah. Otherwise, the Elmo that we used for Yoda and Yoda's Treasure actually belonged to my friend Sheldon. Well, not him himself, but his child. And yeah, we had to gut out his innards in order to get my hand in his back and such. But that sounds so terrible.
No Elmos were harmed in the making of this movie.
Yeah, and it was in his back, not his butt, so my hand wasn't up his ass. So we ended up having to give Elmo back. But on the other hand, at one of the rummage sales I'd gone to after that, I found another Tickle Me Elmo, which is what we used. So time comes that we need to use Yoda again, I can get out that Elmo, and so there we've got our Elmo again. So.
And you still have the ears?
Yoda. Yeah, I've got the ears yet too. The barrette that I had the ears on is getting kind of worn out and such, but that's easily replaceable. So, yeah, bunch of different things that we can do yet, but
who knows what?
Yeah, all up in the air. So, any closing things you'd like to say?
Not that I know. I know I had a blast making all of it. Like you said, it's something. It's hard to get to. It's hard to get people to get together, but you'd think that if it's that much fun, it would be easier to do.
Yeah.
So here's hoping we find something.
Yeah. I found making Luke and Leia that the lower the number of cast members, the easier it is to make. But so yeah, here's to whatever's in the future. So, and this has been momentous episode number 1, I guess, of Flamecast.
Chock full.
Yep. So, that's a wrap.
Sayonara.